You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
If we find more than 5 million only on the Newmont exploration, which is a big target, it's still possible, but just to show how much Newmont respect our exploration experience and our exploration intelligence to approach the project, they wanted to have a back-end right because they've seen what I've done before at Detour, take the project from 1 million ounces and bring it to 15. So they said, well, if Gerald is looking after that, we want a back-end right just in case. And so they did. But the back-end right is 5 million ounces. And of that is very important. So we earn our 30%, we finish a feasibility study. Are we going to find 2, 3, or 5, or 6? Drilling will tell. It's not going to be taking 3 years or 7 years like the deal is. The deal is over 7 years. But in reality, we can accomplish that over the next 2 to 3 years.
Welcome back to Mining Stock Education. I'm Bill Powers. Thank you for tuning in. In today's show, we are going to be getting an update from Gold Terra Resource Corporation and its executive chairman, Gerald Panneton. If you did not get the chance to hear my company profile introduction interview about 6 weeks ago with Gerald, I'm going to put that link in the show notes below and would encourage you to go check that out. Gold Terra is on a mission to discover and develop at minimum at least 5 million ounces of high-grade gold resource at its flagship project outside the city of Yellowknife in Canada's Northwest Territory. To learn more about the company, in addition to this interview, go to goldterracorp.com. In Toronto, you can find the ticker YGT, and the company just got upgraded to the OTCQX in the States. You can find it under the ticker YGTFF. They are currently engaged in a 10,000 meter drilling program, testing high-grade gold targets. So the drills are turning. But not only are the drills turning, but the management has been out making deals with a major, specifically Newmont. They just announced a deal with Newmont in regards to property potential acquisition right next to the Con mine there outside the city of Yellowknife. So here to break this down for us is Gerald. Gerald, welcome back to the show. And could you provide an overview of this deal and explain the significance for my listeners, please?
Thank you very much, Bill. It is always important to have the best land to find a gold deposit. And Bob Smith, which I worked with at Barrick years ago, was one of the best person to say, why would you go somewhere else in the boonies to find gold when you can find it right next to a mine? Because there's already a mine there. There should be more. And this is no different. Yellowknife is a camp that produced 14 million ounces. And in my mind, we were missing a small part between the Con mine and our South Belt property, which was the exploration claim south of the mine, between the old mine and which was mined out, down to about almost 5,000 feet, 1,600 meters. So there was a gap of about a couple of kilometers, 2-3 kilometers, just immediately south between the mine itself and the South Belt. And this was very prospective ground. This has been drilled down to about 200 meters, couple of holes at 600 meters that indicate mineralization. So we know the Campbell Shear carries on south of the Con mine, which produced 5 million ounces, onto these exploration claim and onto our South Belt property. So for me, it was key to acquire this small parcel. It may be just 2 miles long, 3 kilometers long. It doesn't matter. It's very, very important acquisition for Gold Terra. It secures an area where we feel very comfortable now to drill on our side on those Newmont exploration claim to discover a larger gold deposit.
So it's a two-phase earning. Could you go over the 2 phases and also Newmont's ability, if you're successful, to earn back some of the project?
Phase 1 earning is very simple. We have 3 years to spend $3 million Canadian, which in my mind is very small feat. It's roughly 12,000 meters, 13,000 meters of drilling. If we drill the area every 100 meters spacing, for example, down to 500-600 meters, we will go through this expense very quickly. We have the money in the bank, so it's not a question like, do we need to raise the money? No, we don't. We just raise money in June, July, and we have $7 million Canadian in the bank. Phase 1 is just an earn-in to get the first 30%. And also to do we have a deposit or not? I mean, we could walk away and there's no deposit, but the chances are we will find maybe 1 million ounces, 2 million ounces. And we've also put in the deal that if I find ounces right to the south of the property, within 1 kilometer, if we find, say, 1.5 million ounces or 2 million ounces, then we've earned our 60%. We submit a pre-feasibility study on the ounces. And if we find more than 5 million ounces only on the Newmont exploration, which is a big target, it's still possible, but just to show how much Newmont respect our exploration experience and our exploration intelligence to approach the project, they wanted to have a back end right because they've seen what I've done before at Detour, take the project from 1 million ounces and bring it to 15. So they said, well, if Gerald is looking after that, we want a back end right just in case. And so they did. And but the back end right is 5 million ounces. And of that is very important. So we earn our 30%. We finish a feasibility study. Are we going to find 2, 3, or 5 or 6? Drilling will tell. It's not going to be taking 3 years or 7 years like the deal is. The deal is over 7 years. But in reality, we can accomplish that over the next 2 to 3 years. And, we have the money, so we can do so. And the back end right, if we find 5 million ounces, it's a bonus for both. It's a win-win situation. Newmont feels good about being protected, and we feel good because if we find 5 million ounces, we end up with 2, Newmont, we end up with 3. We get all our expense reimbursed. We get a bonus on a per gold basis found. It's a good deal.
You referenced your success with Detour Lake and how that came into that buyback that Newmont saw. So would you say your reputation and past success allowed you to even get before Newmont and negotiate this deal, but at the same time kind of worked against you because they anticipate your success?
There's a respect in our industry for people to put mines in production. And I've done 3 so far, 2 with Barrick and with Detour Gold. Yes, definitely there's a respect of people that do it, choose the right property, and can do it again. And even when I was working with Newcastle Gold, and it was a great experience because it was a great project. It got merged with another company, Equinox, and it's got a good potential. So I go for a very good project only, and I like the challenge of making it even better. But in the end of the day, investor wants to see if we can find more gold. And I've done that many times. And it's a project that can really, really give us this opportunity. To the north of the Con Mine and Giant Mine, in our North Belt, we have a great potential for the Campbell Shear, for the Crestorome high target. And now with the south, we're putting the puzzle together. Now I feel more comfortable about not just drilling the Newmont claim that we just acquired, or we have an option to acquire. It's also about the South Belt. Now I feel comfortable about if I find something, I have also the ground to the north. So this fills in the puzzle and complete the puzzle and will allow us to drill without looking beyond our shoulder. And of course, Newmont, it plays both ways, right? They believe I can find something, so of course they want to back and right, it's fine. It's a good back and right for them, and it's a good one for us too.
How would you describe the prospectivity of this land that you just picked up relative to your existing land package that you already had? Is it more perspective, I guess, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, why do you acquire more ground, right? I'm going to say something like, it's not necessarily maybe the best example, but say 5 million ounces of fire. It's a big fire. And we control 70 kilometers of that trend where there's a fire in the middle, the Giant and the Con Mine on the Campbell Shear. We had great extension of the deposit south and north. But now we just got closer to it allows us that 5% more land that we just acquired on our package is so close to the fire that it's even better. Because usually, it's like we said, when we find gold or when there's a mine, there's always smoke. And once you look at every gold camp, especially Archean gold camp, which is one of my specialty, there's a fire somewhere, well, you're going to see smoke. So when we find gold, quartz vein on surface, that means that there's smoke and maybe there's a deposit somewhere. But when you look at every gold camp, Timmins is 2 big deposits. Val-d'Or is 1 big deposit, Sigma-Lamaque. The Bousquet-Doyon camp, where there's the La Ronde mine and the Bousquet mine, is 1 big camp. So there is always a big camp. Like Red Lake, for example, is also another one. Does it mean that you cannot find any more gold around the camp? It's possible. But usually a deposit could be 20, 30, 40 million ounces. And I think the Campbell Shear has all the characteristic to offer multiple million ounces discovery along the Campbell Shear. And our target, like you said, is to get beyond 5 million ounces.
And you will be drilling this, the press release said, this year. Will this be in addition to the 10,000 meters you already announced?
Yes. The likelihood is that we're going to be completing the Crestron drilling during the fall. And depending on success, we'll carry on next winter. But as soon as we have a chance, we will add a drill and to start drilling. Can we start drilling this fall, November, December? It's a possibility. We're looking into the access of starting to drill the Newmont ground this fall. But at the latest, we will be drilling this property in January. It's all related to access.
Gerald, I'd like you to address some feedback that I get from listeners of my show. In the past, when I've interviewed mining executives, I've had a listener email me and say, Bill, we're talking about exploration, and the executive you spoke to spoke as if the discovery already occurred when it hadn't. You come across as so confident, you've done this before, you know you will find at least 5 million ounces, but if you're speaking and you're sitting down with a skeptical investor that's posing to you what I just said, that you're speaking as if the discovery has already happened, how would you answer such a person?
In exploration, depending on your property, your project, your location, your proximity to a mining camp, there is two types. There's remote and there's close to a mining camp. So when you're remote, sometimes it's very difficult, but the discovery could be very good, but it needs to be very big because you have no infrastructures. In the case of Yellowknife, your discovery could be smaller, but better because there's already infrastructures. So there's a big difference between remote versus camp. So if you're in a mining camp with infrastructure, very different. You can rate the chances of finding a 5 million ounces depending where you are. I would say that when you go in remote area, you could find one, but your chances are maybe one out of 1,000. In Yellowknife, I consider my chance of finding a 5 million ounces 1 out of 2, 50% chances. Once you've made your discovery, we currently have 750,000 ounces, and we know we can increase those ounces at Samoto and Casaram, no question. Does it have the potential for 5 million ounces? I don't think so. I don't think Casaram or Samoto does. Samoto, maybe 1 million, maybe 1.5 million. Casaram, maybe 1 million ounces, maybe 2. Drilling will tell. But what I'm trying to demonstrate in the Campbell Shear in Yellowknife, what are my chances of finding a 5 million ounces? And with the Newmont claim acquisition, earn-in option, we have increased our chances for a couple of million ounces. But what's more important, it completes very well with the South Bell where we do have a chance. In June, we release a press release that shows 8 grams over 8 meters, roughly. Exactly 6 to 7 kilometers south of the Con Mine on the Campbell Shear. Drill at minus 100 meters elevation. There's no drilling below. Very shallow drilling done in 1961, 60 years ago. Has never been follow-up since then. So when you look at the chances of Gold Terra to find a few million ounces and maybe 5 and maybe more in Yellowknife, these are very excellent. And that's why when I joined the company in October, that was following my due diligence on the company, on the asset. I really like the potential. I really feel we can create value for the investors on this story, and we just need to execute. And my time for executing and make that discovery is over the next 2 years.
So with the execution of this deal, if you were given a binary choice, what was more significant, the former relationship you just struck with Newmont, or the actual land acquisition itself?
It's always good to have a good partner and a good relation, no question, but the land was the target. I was acquiring 3 kilometers of some of the best land in Yellowknife, very close to the fire.
Now you have this large land package. How should investors view potential metallurgical issues? I know that this is early on, but it sounds like we're talking about multiple deposits here, and doesn't the metallurgy vary significantly, so there could be potential different processing plants you would need?
There's 2 types of ore on the Campbell Shear. There is free milling, quartz veining, late mineralization that is enabled to recover with normal gravity CIL, which is very, very easy to do. And there is some refractory ore with arsenopyrite that will need to be treated separately. But at the end of the day, we're far from that. I think the most important thing is Yellowknife is a high-grade camp that mine gold between a grade of 15 to 20 gram gold, or roughly half an ounce to 0.7 ounce per ton. It's very rich. And usually the richness of the deposit allows you to pay for some of the challenge you may have on metallurgy and recovery. The camp has recovered gold over 90% even in the refractory ore. There's no challenge to be there. We're not talking about a big deposit. Like I learned my lesson very well at Detour that building a huge project, low grade, and raising $1.5 billion to build it was a very high challenge. And that's the reason why I focus on high grade. Our focus in Yellowknife is high grade because we know that the capital investment to develop a mine, even if you have two processes to do, is a lot more easier than building a huge mill which treats 60,000 tons per day. There's no question. There's no question that high grade, smaller mill, smaller footprint, no open pit. Look, it's much better to be underground on high grade than it is open pit, low grade.
So investors can expect consistent drilling from Gold Terra, but I know that there's already anticipation of the first batch of assays from your Crestorum drilling. Can you give us an idea of when we could expect a news release on that?
I think you should expect as early as October some result on. We started drilling on August 15. Every hole takes a week drill. You can figure it out. We're drilling the deposit at 400 meters elevation. We want to show that the extension of the deposit goes beyond the 200 meters drilled before. And we're going to move the drill on a 600 meters hole following the first 400. We feel that, assay result will be coming probably in early October, within the next 2 weeks from now, 2-3 weeks from now.
So that's a near-term catalyst. To learn more about Gold Terra, please go to goldterracorp.com. I'll also link to that in the show notes. On the OTC, the ticker is YGTFF, and in Toronto, the ticker symbol is YGT. Gerald, really appreciate you coming on today's show and providing an update. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Bill.